Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Don't Tell Me How to Fan. My name is Josh Albrecht. With me, as always, is my good pal, John Taylor. John, woo, what a weekend.
Yeah,
Man.
Josh. Hard to be mad, upset, frustrated about much in the world of Wisconsin sports when your Milwaukee Brewers not only sweep the Dodgers once in a season, but hey, they do it a second time.
6-0 against the Dodgers this year. And I know that there are the excuses of, well, they were slumping and everything. I don't care. First of all, you can only beat the teams that are in front of you, and it's the Dodgers. And beating the Dodgers will always feel amazing.
Yep.
And look, there was in one of the games against Freddie, whatever day that was.
Saturday.
You saw what the Dodgers can be. We all know what the Dodgers can be. They like the fact that essentially they got one inning out of us was incredible. And not only did that series sweep mean Brewers are on fire, but also now tied for the division. They caught up to the Cubs. They're officially tied for the best record in the National League.
Yep.
Boom.
Yep. Just as we all predicted, the two best records in the MLB are owned by the Detroit Tigers and Milwaukee Brewers / Cubs, but that's less fun. Come on.
True. Very true.
Yeah.
So the first of all, this was the games against the Dodgers this year. Not only were they great because the Brewers won, but every single game was exciting. Like they were legitimately good baseball games to watch. Every time in this series that the Brewers they'd take a lead, then the Dodgers would do their thing, and then the Brewers would come right back. They kept fighting, and it was just like any doubt, which in baseball I feel like is pretty easy to have, right? When your team is down a run or two, you're like, oh crap, all right, here we go. The next inning, literally the next chance that the Brewers had to put more runs on the board, then they would do it. That was incredible. And all small ball, too. Singles, hits to the gap. I mean, there were some home runs sprinkled in, but nothing that was like we had to rely on the long ball, which obviously the Brewers haven't done all season. Just awesome, fun to watch baseball. I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen, there's like these hilarious, what's the word I'm looking for? There's all these like advanced stats about like barrel rate, exit velocity, and like the Brewers ranked dead last or in like the bottom 3 of all. And then they're like first in like manufactured runs. I forget what the stat is.
Sure.
But either way, it just goes to your point. Like at the end of the day, this is not modern baseball, what the game that the Brewers are playing. But what it is, it's proud baseball. It is culture leading baseball in the sense that like it comes from the top down. I think like Murphy wants to play like a gritty, annoying style of offense and baseball in general. And I think that is very apparent when you watch this team play. I mean, they literally fight for every at bat. They put a lot of pressure on opposing pitchers. They know that they are going to be pesky and annoying, and they really do punish inattentiveness. You saw it a few times in both series against the Dodgers, really, where the Dodgers were just being lazy, not getting a ball to a cutoff man fast enough, not really running with the same intensity. Like, I don't want to bounce around too much just in case we do go game by game or however this conversation flows. But you look at the end of the 9th and it's like Pages could have rounded third and probably got home because he didn't think Ortiz was going to make that throw to first. And Andrew Vaughn said afterwards he's got to make that catch, and I don't disagree. He probably was not expecting Joey Ortiz to make that throw. I don't think there's I think there's like maybe like Joey Ortiz and is probably sitting among like 3 or 4 other guys in the entire major leagues that would be even attempting to make a throw like that or could make a throw like that, so it's interesting. And so he gets lazily runs to third, then gets sent home and thinks better of it. And then all of a sudden, Mookie Betts hits a laser right to Blake Perkins. So, and then you look at this, and I bring this up because the national media is now paying attention to it as well. Just the way the Brewers play baseball. MLB Network today on air was just talking about the difference. Like you look at Jackson Churio, the minute I think, when Isaac Collins yesterday hits that double, Churio's running like he's going home no matter what. The minute he takes off a second, right? And so much so that ball, Andrew Vaughn gets thrown out at third. And if Churio does not cross the bag before he gets tagged, that's not a run. And it's a run because Churio was going home no matter what. You know what I mean? And he was playing like it too, so
very aggressive on the base paths.
Yeah. And that's how they have to be, right? They have to steal. They have to be aggressive. They could be the fastest team in baseball when you talk about like base running. Like there are demons all over, and so they're just finding ways to make the defense throw the ball around. Which you see this with the Dodgers, and then there was a few errors against the Nationals, but you force a defense to have to play active defense, as in getting the ball around the diamond, and errors happen. And so I figured out what that stat was. It was they are first in infield hits. And that's because they're getting the ball in the infield and they are running them out, and they're, you know what I mean? So just a really awesome series. And I think like when you talk about what the Brewers can do against these teams in the playoffs, what does the national media landscape? I mean, we swept the Dodgers twice in a span of 14 days. That's pretty incredible. I don't have a stat for how many teams do that, but it's hard to sweep the same team 6 times or, sweep a team twice in any season. So to do it within 14 days is pretty remarkable. Especially when you look at the fact that Woodruff and Mizorowski did not pitch this series. And that might be a good way to go. I mean, I would love to talk pitching with you. All three, I think, were pretty good to impressive starts. And so, I mean, we have to revisit and talk again about this Quentin Priester trade. Just absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
You're talking about Monday. They win a pitcher's duel in the sense that they won 2-0, right? And both Glasnow and Priester went 6 innings. The big difference is Quentin Priester with 10 strikeouts to Glasnow 6. And I know Glasnow is injured and he's coming back, but he had a pretty decent start against the Brewers. Decent in quotes, as in he made a quality start. Like he looked good. The injury concerns, his velo was where it needed to be. And Quentin Priester just, while giving up 3 hits, 0 walks, just a better start, a better, more efficient start.
The Brewers are doing every single thing right. They're making starting pitchers throw pitches. They're getting pitch counts up early. They are forcing it's not even just pitch counts. Like there's pitch counts and then irritating on base and then also scoring runs, like just enough to where, when Kershaw was pulled in the 5th, he was so pissed. Like they showed him on the screen in the dugout, like kicking stuff. And like, he was really upset that like he couldn't even get out of the 5th inning.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would be frustrated too with the amount of errors and the way the Dodgers have been playing defensively behind these pitchers. Because Kershaw, quote unquote, did enough, right? He didn't get the loss yesterday. I don't know if you saw or heard about his post-game press conference, but he cut it short. He said, "I'm going to get myself in trouble. Like we should not be on this much of a schneid right now." And I don't disagree. Clayton Kershaw, say whatever you want about the man. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. Like,
absolutely.
He's got himself a few World Series championships. Like it is criminal how lazy this team is because there's so much talent on the team. You can see it. You can see it in the way they play baseball. I'm talking about the Dodgers, of course. Yeah. And you can see Dave Robertson. Like you can tell he was not smiling a lot this weekend because
Roberts was. I mean, he had nothing to smile about.
Roberts, right?
Yeah. He was frustrated. He was, and it was enjoyable as a Brewers fan to watch. Keep in mind too that this Dodgers team, even through this slump that they've been on, they're 58-42.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the Brewers are now 59-40. So everyone's saying like, well, I mean, you caught them at the right time. Yeah. What? Because what did they, before they faced the Brewers, all they did was win games. Like they've lost at least 6 games to the Brewers, or they lost 6 games to the Brewers, and there's still only 1 game back of them total record wise. And to your point, that's what this Dodgers team is an all-star team. Like they've always been. That's why they won last year. They have firepower everywhere. And the Brewers still found a way to prove that they can, the grittiness and the way that this team is working together can overpower a bunch of all-stars. Now, the one argument I'll have is, do those all-stars flip that switch in the postseason? Is it like, I don't expect this Dodgers team to be the same Dodgers team that we see in October. All-star players, that's not how it goes in sports. I wish that wasn't the case, but it is. And so I expect if the Brewers end up seeing the Dodgers in the postseason this year, that it will not be do not be overconfident as a Brewers fan. Don't be sitting there and going, well, these guys couldn't be, we swept them. Yeah, no, that's not going to mean anything in October.
Yeah, I mean, I take exception to the idea of that, like, oh, we caught them while they're slumping, because this is baseball. You got to manufacture your own luck. If you do the small things the right way, there really is no reason that you should be, what is it, like 2-11 over the last 11 games the Dodgers had. I mean, they were on a 7-game losing streak, and then they won the series against the Giants, and then they went right back to losing. So whatever that total is, feels like 2-9, whatever I said. Ultimately, they could. That team is too talented to be losing this much. Period. So something's going on with them. It's more than just slumping. And the other truth is, the Brewers were playing terrible baseball. They were 8.5 games back before May 21st. We keep talking about that, and I know it's an annoying talking point, but it cannot be overstated how much this team has turned around their season and the way that they're doing it and the consistency that they've been doing it. So I say the Dodgers might be slumping. They also might be not playing well. I don't know. You know what I mean? It could be a symptom way more severe than them slumping. And the fact of the matter is that implies that the Brewers are not a talented enough team to go toe-to-toe against the Dodgers. And I would say within 2 weeks, a 6-game sample size, the Dodgers couldn't win a single ball game. They were never up after the 8th inning in any of these games. Like, give me a break. Like, this isn't David versus Goliath. It is in payroll, but right now it's Goliath versus Goliath when you talk about their record, the way they're producing, like slumping or not. And you're right. At the end of the day, like in the postseason, and we'll talk about this in a little later, do I think that this style of Brewers baseball could carry them all the way to a World Series? Maybe. I think there's things that the Brewers could do to make it easier on themselves.
Yes.
And there's a really important trade-off there in terms of like the chemistry. But I have to, admit when I'm wrong on this podcast as well. I could not see how Caleb Durbin was going to really positively affect this ball club for most of the season. And the Brewers tweeted this out today. Since May 21st, he is first in batting average. He is first with his on-base percentage. His WRC is second, and his WAR is second. So just an absolute monster. He's a rookie. You talk about rookie of the year conversation. I think Jacob Mizrowski might just flat out win it. It's been a pretty ho-hum year for rookies in the entire major leagues, especially in the NL. But I'll say it's pretty wild that you could probably make a conversation that 4 Brewers should be in serious contention when you talk about Caleb Durbin, you talk about Jacob Mizrowski, you talk about Isaac Collins, and you talk about Chad Patrick, who was electric and got squeezed because that's just the way it goes once Brandon Woodruff came back, So, pretty remarkable and incredible stuff. So, yeah.
I do think that it is interesting that, this team is consistently finding ways to win, and it's people that you don't even expect, like seeing like Collins in the cleanup spot. On some,
the most Sunday lineup to have ever Sunday lined up, honestly.
Yeah. But then I literally, before his big RBI, I don't know what it was, like a double or something, I literally said, I don't understand why. I mean, he's in the cleanup. Like, I mean, that's fine that he's playing, but and then boom, it's just like everyone is dialed in. Now, the thing is that it's very good to celebrate these moments, and we should celebrate them. But it was not that long ago when we were sitting here saying this team needs to figure something out, right? We were like, the season's over. Like, they got to figure out something. If they lose to the Cubs, like, this season, and now national media is paying attention to them. We still have 2 months of baseball. Like, it's a lot of time. I need this team to they're going to ebb and flow. I'm not expecting them to stay at this level through August and September. If they do, they're going to win the division by like 11 games. Like, this is not like, this is insane. They're literally doing nothing wrong right now.
Yeah.
Like, baseball is ebbs and flows. So my hope is that they have a small dip in August and then bring it back into September and come in hot. Like, just keep, don't have it be dramatic, but just take this as long as you can and then get it back and get hot like this. Because if the Brewers, I don't care if they're not hitting home runs. I don't care. This style of baseball might not be what you want in the postseason. This team playing how they are right now is unstoppable.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's what do I want to say first? They aren't bad at anything. They're elite in pitching and in defense, and they're good at everything else. It's one of those things. They aren't a huge home run hitting team, but what I'll counter to the idea that they need to be, or at least your conversation about cooling off, getting hot at the right time, because I've been hearing a lot of chatter too. It's like, are the Brewers peaking too soon? This style of baseball is not really, I wouldn't say it's like temperature proof in terms of heating off or cooling off, but think about how many games last year we won off the back of like Willie Adames just hitting, like slugging us back into games with like solo home runs, grand slams. There was a period where like Bryce Terang, Jackson Churio, and Willie all hit grand slams within like 9 days. There was like so many, and it's like that's the stuff that cools off when swinging for the fences is not translatable, especially when you're not known for being a power hitter. The Brewers have 2 power hitters. I mean, I just don't think Reese is that guy anymore. I think his natural swing results in home runs more than everybody else on the Brewers, but it's not a lot. You talk about it. Andrew Vaughn, power hitter, but he's new. And, do I think he's going to get an RBI or on base every single game he plays this season? Probably not, but it's a nice injection and it's interesting. But when you talk about those guys, you're talking about like Yelly, you're talking about Contreras, and they both have reasons to make you feel nervous if they can't start turning around their power numbers. William Contreras with his finger might not get there before the end of the season, sadly. Yelich, he's just getting on base, and that's all you can ask for. You know what I mean? Some of these guys have incredibly long hitting streaks. And that's fantastic. So my counter to the getting hot, not getting hot is this could just be the new baseline, right? And when you head into the offseason, and when I say that sounds absurd, I mean, they're not going to win every game, but they need
how do they lose if they keep playing like this?
Well, simple. At some point, you're right. At some point, a pitcher's going to, I mean, when you texted me on Saturday,
everywhere.
You texted me on Saturday, what's Freddie doing when they tied that game back up? He dialed back in. There's going to be games where they can't dial it back in. You know what I mean? That's just the way it goes. They're going to put up 4 runs and somehow it's not going to relate to a win. I have a hard time believing that. Josh, do you know what the Brewers record is when they score over 4 runs in a game?
I do not.
It is 48-9 when they put up 4 runs at least. So, I mean, and that's not hitting home runs. That's getting on base, finding ways to score. When the Brewers do that, they're pretty damn good. And that's because, like I said, their starting pitching is elite. They throw a lot of different looks at you with their various pitchers. And then they have a lot of power on the back end between Koenig and Uribe and McGill, right?
McGill.
Like this is more trivia that I know you don't have the answer to, but it's okay. Do you know what their record is after scoring or leading after 8 innings? When leading after 8 innings.
Total record, no, but I know they've only lost 4 games.
It's 54-2 when leading after the 8th inning.
Maybe I saw it during a game. Maybe they said the 7th.
Could be the 7th. Maybe they added it.
But
But you're talking
like
about after 8
games.
innings. So after Uribe comes in and shuts it down, you would talk about like Trevor McGill has been lights out. He's had 2 blown saves, and they were in the same week and a half, and that was games that where they figured out a way to tie, they clawed back in, and then Trevor just gave it up. Fact of the matter is, the pitching has been unreal, and it always is. And I don't, we said this last episode, like it's criminal that we came into a season thinking the Brewers weren't gonna amass a dynamite pitching staff, and that's not to say that there's things that can't change, but yeah, what an incredible baseball team.
I mean, the main point I'll make though is, and obviously this is a different team. Every year it's a different team. But I'm so used to the streaks of 3 hits, 1 run. And that's what the offensive production is. And then even if you have, regardless of who you have on the mound, they can be pitching lights out. Unless they're pitching a shutout, you're going to lose that game. And so that's been very frustrating over the last couple of years of Brewers baseball. And we've had streaks where the offense is on fire, but when it's, playoff time, when it's postseason baseball, we haven't seen the bats be hot. And so that's the fear in the back of my head. But that's why I said I don't need the ball to leave the park. If the team is playing like they are now, I mean, I don't know what you do if you're the opposing team. Like, just everything you can hit line drives, doesn't matter, they're there. You can hit bloopers. You're going to have Ortiz, who is weak at the plate, end up making incredible throws to get you out at first. Like, it's just they're doing everything to where no matter how you're trying to attack it, you can't get past them. It's just the stability of it. That's the only thing. And so I'm enjoying the ride, and I'm going, This is great. Let's just keep going and see how far we go. That leads me to this point. The trade deadline is coming up. And a lot of people have been saying, okay, but the Brewers are definitely not sellers, right? There was this whole thought of, will Freddie Peralta be on the team? Blah, 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 blah. I never understood that. I think that is a little bit of small market mentality of we just have to get rid of people. I think the Willy Adames, what we saw about if we had a chance, like we're going to ride it out if we have to. I think that there's just there was no way that we were ever going to trade Freddie, especially when he was an all-star and he's making history as a Brewer starting pitcher with wins, consecutive wins. So he's not going anywhere. The bigger question is, do they add someone? There's this whole argument, John, that the Brewers should not touch what they're doing right now. The vibes, the mojo, everything's working. Don't go get someone. Your thoughts, before I tell you mine, on if the Brewers need to add someone to this team before the deadline.
Yeah. Well, I'll answer this in 2 questions. I think they need to add somebody no matter what, and it's not what we're thinking. I mean, not necessarily what we're thinking, but they do this every year, a la Nick Mears. They're going to add a bullpen guy, like an end of the bullpen guy. And I think they need to. Koenig has been a little shaky as of late. I think any opportunity you can to strengthen that part of your pitching staff, you kind of have to do it. So do I think there's somebody that they could go get pretty easily? Absolutely. And is that by flipping a bunch of prospects or maybe dealing from a position of strength like a pitcher? Absolutely. So do I think they get something just straight up? The answer is yes. Now, the real question you're asking is, do I think they make a meaningful trade to add a powerful bat to the lineup, a la Eugenio Suarez or somebody else? And I think that is a very different conversation. I do not subscribe to the idea that the chemistry on this team is so great you don't want to rock it, because Jake Bauer's power numbers, I mean, his average has been declining for a long time. Reese is not going to be back till the middle of August. Andrew Vaughn could be found gold, but let's be realistic. He was in the White Sox minor league system. He's doing well, but you just can't rely on that. And I do not want to watch another playoff push that ends in a weekend because, oh shit, Andrew Vaughn wasn't great and we didn't get anybody. Caleb Durbin's been playing out of his mind, but we don't have an answer. Joey Ortiz, new batting stance and all, has been doing better, but the idea that we don't make a meaningful improvement on this team in some sort of specific way is just really short-sighted. And I think there's a lot of different ways you could have a conversation about it. Do I think they need to just trade for a third baseman outright? Potentially not. I mean, I think there is something to be said that they definitely believe in Caleb Durbin. So going to get Suarez on a rental when teams like the Yankees and a bunch of other heavy hitters could be interested, that might be tough. But what I will say is there's players out there that you could platoon at second, at shortstop, even maybe at first. When you talk about what does Rhys Hoskins coming back even really look like, I think it would be foolish to just stand pat with this current team because something about this team definitely feels different. And I don't think there's going to be, short of getting Suarez on, let's call it, a short deal, there isn't a shortstop that's going to come in and just take Ortiz's job outright with his batting production, especially when you factor in defensively how good he is. But I will say is you could get a guy in who all of a sudden on days you want to give Ortiz or Terang a break, all of a sudden it's not Andrew Monasterio. And that feels pretty good, right? To improve that. So it might not be a huge target, but I definitely like McMahon from the Rockies. He hasn't been playing great, but maybe you could get him on a buy low because the Rockies are a dumpster fire. I think Matt Arnold's shown that he's always going to trade for something. They're never going to just wholesale sell the farm, but we are in a unique position where Quintana, Nestor Cortez is back throwing. You look at Tobias Myers, you look at Chad Patrick. There's definitely guys in this system who could maybe be moved, and a healthy combination. I'll turn the question back on you. How do you feel about it?
So I think the Brewers will do minimal to nothing. If they do something, it's going to be something that will not be exciting. It will not be something like it will be a bullpen guy, like you said, and it will not be a bullpen guy that I know. It'll just be a guy that'll be like, okay, so they just got an arm. Like it might even be for like cash. You know what I mean? Like that's the trade. Like it's not going to be something monumental. And I feel like that's going to be the case because that's what the Brewers do. They trust what they have now. And like you said, they're picky. They'll be very picky about who they go and get. I am disappointed in that, right? I agree with you that this idea that, well, the chemistry's so good, don't touch it, blah, blah, blah. No. Make a push. That you have a team that is going insane right now. You don't think that team is going to be more fired up if they can add a huge piece to help them? That's crazy. No, they all want to win. And if they think that the front office is willing to make a move that's going to make sense, then absolutely you do it. Now, we can all turn to like the Josh Hader trade. And that was a different situation. I don't think that the Brewers front office is going to get rid of anyone that would be so monumental in what's happening now. As you said, we have a surplus of pitchers. I don't think they'd be afraid to go and maybe pick a few people off of the pile in the farm right now and do something to make a legitimate push. This year is different than years past. The Brewers have been in first in the division, up 8 to 10 games. And they're there because the rest of the division sucks. And we're like, well, hey, we're first in the division. And then we lose in the first round of the postseason because it was a weak division. That's not the case this year, right? We're tied for the best record in the National League. And the Cubs are in the division tied with us. So all of those arguments go out the window. This is a legitimate team making a legitimate push. Give them some help. I would love to see it. I would love to have it happen. I'm not expecting it to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, this organization from the top down, starting with Mark Antanasio, has shown that they have a long-term plan that they're committed to sticking with. So what do some of these prospects look like? I think there are guys in this organization who I think their time here has probably ended, and that is totally fine. I think there's definitely plenty of packages where you don't have to move heavens and earth to get a guy. I think you're right. I think if anybody's calling, asking about Freddie Peralta, they're hanging up. They have 3 ones right now. Freddie, Miz, Woodruff. They have 3 number 1s, and they're 4 and 5, probably are 2s and 3s on most teams, the way Priester and Quintana are pitching. They give you multiple looks. I'm kind of banging the same drum over here, but I guess what I'm saying is I agree with you. Long and short, the long of it is that for the first time, to your point, and something I've never really considered is they're competing not just for the NL Central, but right now they're competing for a first round bye. You know, the fastest way to get out of being knocked out in the first weekend is by making sure you don't
play in
have to play in it. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I'm definitely, I could see that. And I just think they're uniquely positioned. They are going to be in a hunt for the Central. They can't rest on their laurels. They can't say, well, look at us, we're going to be here. Like there is, I mean, they're pretty firmly cemented. It's funny because at the start of the week, I was looking at like, where's our wild card at? I haven't even put much thought into the standings in terms of where we are with the wild card. I think we're a considerable amount ahead. Let me.
So we're 3 games. The Phillies and the Mets are both tied with 56 wins. So we're 3 games up on them, and then the Padres have 54. So
we're 5 games
above.
We're 5 games up from the last wild card spot. Is how that works. The Padres are 54 and 45. So we're 5 games up. So, I think at this point they're uniquely positioned to not only get the NL Central, but they could be playing for a first round bye. And I think that is something that needs to be considered. And to your point about the Josh Hader trade, that was a all-star closer we traded because why? Because we just knew the arbitration wasn't going to go well. It's understandable why that locker room went sideways. You would not be trading anybody not named Freddie Peralta and probably getting that same reaction. Just straight up, because there isn't a guy here who's been there that long anymore, you know? So it's like, I think when you talk about the chemistry, you're really talking about like the on-field chemistry, like the way Durbin's been hitting, the way Ortiz's defense has played, the way Andrew Vaughn has been able to come in and add meaningful snaps is the wrong word. That's football, but you get my point. Pitches or plays, however, whatever the baseball equivalent is. It's been great, but this is a very special team and it's a very special moment. And I think if you're not actively thinking about how you can add to this team to make the offense feel easier at times, then that is going to be really, really frustrating.
Well, be prepared to be frustrated because I don't, this isn't dealing Doug Melvin. Like it's a different time and I'm not going to be surprised at all if they don't get a guy, or if they get a guy, but it's not a bat and it's not something that's going to really make an impact. And so am I disappointed in that? Yes. Do I think it's going to bring the season to a screeching halt? No, I think it gives the Brewers a chance to amplify their chances. It shows the rest of the league, we know we're good and we're making our push. So look out.
Yep.
And instead it sends the message, we're good. We know we're good. Look out. They're both fine messages, but the first one's a little more scary, right? Oh crap. Okay, here we go. The Brewers they're doing it. They're going all in. Here they go. And I just don't think it's going to happen. So it's disappointing, but the team's still great.
We're not. It would be disappointing. We're not there yet.
Well, sure. I'm saying if it happens.
Yeah. If they don't trade for a bat, I can live with it. I won't say I'll be frustrated. I wouldn't be shocked. I would, and this is for the first time in a long time, I would be excited they didn't sell, because there's been plenty of years where we thought they could sell while still competing, and that is truly the most maddening way to watch a Brewers team play. But I definitely think if they were to say, hey, you know what, nothing shaped up the way we wanted, a half a season rental on Suarez could be way too much. You start looking at what what other teams have, what the market dictates, what, we'll know pretty quickly how much teams overpaid for some of these rentals or some of these guys. And I think if the Brewers from a value proposition end up saying, hey, our team is winning, we're doing it the right way, we just didn't see anything that really felt like we wanted to like tip the apple cart and upset the locker room, locker room's not the right word. I already said that. Upset the mojo, the chemistry of the on-field play, the vibes, the aura. If the aura goes skibbity toilet, for all the young listeners out there,
oh God,
then they won't be grittying on the field anymore. So anyways, there's not much more to say. We're a week out. Team looks incredible. I think if they have an amazing opportunity to maybe reposition themselves with a trade, besides a bullpen arm, I think they'll do for sure, then I would be very interested. In the same way, I think it would be absurd if they went into the postseason with 8 starting pitchers. Like at some point, you just don't need them. So you got to move them. You got to do something, right? Like,
right.
So
right.
There's the logjam, and a logjam where I don't think is going to result in a Quentin Priester like option back down to AAA. He's playing too well. Cortez looks great. Quintana's doing well. Obviously, the Miz is the Miz. It's like, could they move to a 6-man rotation to help preserve Mizorowski's arm? Maybe, but even then, you still have 2 more guys named Cortez, right. DL Hall, Robert Gasser is going to come back. So, it just seems like the writing is on the wall that this would be a year where they absolutely could make a move without really selling out their long-term pitching. That's the truth. If
there was one guy that you'd be willing to get rid of that's a pitcher right now, who would it be?
Well, the easier answer is Cortez, because I just don't really see him coming back. He's been out for a long time. He has a proven record. He's been pitching well. I think Quintana is the one that truthfully probably makes the most amount of sense. It's tough because I really like his stuff. He's going to work the corners. He's going to make it hard. I think like Quintana after like Mizorowski in a playoff setting when you've just been dealing with 100 plus fast, it's like it's a really interesting mix and a look. But I think it's like Gasser's coming off that surgery. I mean, if we're talking about pitchers that are currently pitching, is that the question more than anything, or are you just saying in general?
I'm just putting people on the team.
Yeah, I mean, if you move Gasser, I'd be bummed because I think long-term, I think he would be a good start. But I don't know. I think Woodruff's going to be around for a few more years. Freddie's going to be gone next year. He'll probably get traded in the offseason, right? They can't afford to pay him. They locked him up early, and then it's time for him to go. I mean, he put together an all-star campaign. He's been pitching incredibly. So, I don't know. I think Quintana, Cortez, you could pitch me on Gasser. You could pitch me on Hall. Some of these guys, it should be frustrating with the Corbin Burns trade, but Joey Ortiz has proven to be at least enough. So, I mean, if you can put together a unique enough package with some prospects, some known guys, like if it was like Quintana, Hall, and let's say Tyler Black, which he's not been great, but let's say something like that, and then maybe another younger guy for a Suarez or a guy that you go, okay, this is legitimate power. I live with that 10 times out of 10 because I think it's the only way that they could maybe turn the season into a second place in the National League team and vying for a first round bye. You know what I mean? Or first place team vying for a first round bye. So that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah,
I agree. I think that all makes sense to me. I hope that it's something that they can pull off.
Yeah. Ooh, I got one last little thing to say about the Brewers.
Yeah.
Obviously the Sal Frelick got added to the 10-day injured list, retroactive as far back as they could, which was the 15th. So he'll be out all this week. What a beautiful time to just have Blake Perkins come back and defensively remind you why he's one of the best, if he was to start, would probably be a perennial Gold Glove finalist. Man, he looks so good out there, so effortless. I keep thinking about that ball.
He also didn't have a bad.
No, and his bat looked great. Yeah. I mean, his average on this season is well over 300. It's a small sample size, but when you're talking about a guy coming in and just able to produce in the same way Sal can, it looks pretty good. So shout out to him. It's always nice having him back. I feel like he's just like a really steadying presence. And a friend of the pod, Jeff Levering, confessed maybe one of the best guys to talk to in all the locker room. So when you talk about vibes, you talk about tone setting, culture setting. There's just something I love about seeing Blake Perkins back. And even if that means him riding the bench, I just feel like in those moments where you have to get creative with the lineup and then all of a sudden you're having to put in Perkins in the 8th or 9th, I just feel so good that he can deliver, So We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to
Very,
shout that out because that was the other fun little wrinkle from this weekend. So
very, very excited. Hopefully, the Brewers can keep things going, and we can just keep celebrating this streak that they're on.
yeah.
Quickly before we're out, there is some Packers news that is fresh that we have
Yes.
to address.
Fresh as in reported 2 hours ago.
Yes, 2 hours before the recording of this pod on Monday, July 21st.
Yeah, your starting right tackle for the Green Bay Packers, Zach Tom, has reached an agreement on a contract extension with the Packers. It is a 4-year, $88 million contract extension with a max value of $92 million. And what's interesting is the deal includes a $30.2 million signing bonus, which is the largest signing bonus for any offensive lineman in the history of the NFL. So what were we talking about all this offseason? They have a ton of cap room. They're going to be looking to make extensions. Tom, I think you and I had discussed. Number one on that list was getting Zach Tom locked down to a long-term contract. I think 30.2 mil and a signing bonus, it's not your money. Who cares? They have the cap to do it.
I never understood why people get, that's crazy. What is your money? No, you got
when you talk about mechanisms and everything like that. And it's a classic. The Packers offer 4-year contracts. My guess is the first 2 years will be guaranteed. The second years will be voidable. Let's see years. But to get Zach Tom at the end of this contract, what I believe to be probably a top 3 tackle in this league, especially at right tackle. $22 million is an absolute steal. And that seems to be the wide consensus on Packers Twitter. I mean, you want to talk about a player. If anybody goes down not named Zach Tom in this lineup, reasonably Zach Tom is the answer at every position up and down. He can play. He's the new Elton Jenkins. But in a way that's even better because Elton Jenkins proved, and this was post ACL, so I always put a little asterisk about this knock on Jenkins, but he got kicked to right tackle and couldn't do it. I mean, Zach Tom is an undersized tackle by the NFL standards, but his athleticism more than makes up for it. There are things he's still learning too. I think they're against the Eagles. There was a few pressures against their guys where you say, we need him to get better against elite edge rushing talent. But I will say this. He's about to enter his 3rd year. He got drafted in the 4th round from Wake Forest. Like the Packers, much like the Brewers pitching staff, turn solid and good prospects into all-star caliber tackles. And Zach Tom is now the newest example of that. So, the other interesting thing going on right now, speaking of offensive line talk, is the fact that it looks like Elton Jenkins is going to be a hold-in, and understandably so. He's getting moved to center at a time when he probably is going to be start asking for a left tackle extension or a guard extension. He's losing a lot of money by kicking to the center. That being said, I don't know. We'll see. He's under contract for 2 more years. There's not a guarantee that they offer him extension. They could look to move him as soon as next year. And that's no shade to Jenkins, but the Packers did not get to where they are by being sentimental and hugging their draft picks, right? Like they typically don't offer a 3rd contract. Kenny Clark is like the first one, and he needs to have a bounce back year or it's going to be a really nasty taste in their mouth. I guess Bakhtiari, another great example of why they never do this. But they offered them contract extensions. But being over 30 on the Packers on a 3rd contract
rare
does not usually exist, right? So that expression does not compute. So we'll see. But training camp starts on Wednesday. That's the other fun Packers news, right?
Insane.
I mean,
training camp
football is basically right around the corner, and this is when a lot of these extensions and everything else is going to talk. Obviously, a lot of releases, additions over the last month, especially over the last couple of days. Alex Hale, I don't know if you saw this, our international pathway player, Alex Hale, got a non-football injury list to his eye, and he's been released. Unrelated to that, they signed another wide receiver from Colorado. So the Packers are doing Packer stuff. They're making moves. They're filling out their roster. So we'll have more to report, obviously, post-training camp. But that extension for Zach Tom was the number one most important thing they needed to do in terms of
and it's a nice cherry
contracts.
Cherry on top. of,
yeah.
of just getting ready for training camp.
Totally.
You know, what a way to look
Yep.
forward to that as you're busy celebrating all the success that the Brewers are having,
Yeah.
which is also fun. I hate when it's well, one team is doing bad, so thank God we can look forward to this other thing. It's
Yep.
like, no, things are going well. We're celebrating everything. This is when it's a fun time to be a Wisconsin sports fan.
Yeah.
And
And anytime the Bucks get to re-sign Chris Livingston off of an awesome summer league, that's another thing that needs to
Okay.
get celebrated too.
Yeah,
So
that's not
all three awesome news
Mm-hmm.
pieces from all three major sports in
yeah,
Wisconsin. So.
probably in the order that they were announced on this podcast as well. A lot of fun, John. A lot of fun watching this Brewers team. Looking forward to the week ahead. And yeah, I cannot wait to see where things are for the next episode. We hope you are there because we are not done yet.
Keep turning up the heat.